There, shall we? Aloha. Aloha. Just feels good. Like let's say one really loud and open that heart chakra as we do it. Aloha. Welcome. We're so glad that you have made it here from the far corners of the known and unknown universes to join with so many beings on so many levels and to activate ourselves further into our divine mission, purpose, and connectivity at this time. How many of you are here because of that inner calling of the heart to find out more about who you really are? Yes. Yes. And so that's what time it is, isn't it? That's what time it is. We kind of have this inkling within ourselves of a remembrance and a knowing and further awakenings over the years. And now we're in 2012 about to embark upon the next level of realizing that isness of who we are together as one and as unique aspects of that one, here to do our own unique mighty work in concert with the whole. Yes? Yes. So it's showtime, boys and girls. It's showtime on planet Earth. And here we go. Here we go into the new, which we already knew about before we came here, that this time would be upon us and that we would be activating this awakening inside ourselves and with each other. And so all of us who are gathered here today are aware to some degree of the next level activation that is about to be available to most of humanity, to the rest of humanity. And you are the way showers, you are the keepers, you are the ones who will be assisting the others as they begin their mighty wake-up process as well. And so thank you for clearing your karma. Thank you for defragging your consciousness. Thank you for getting yourselves here to this now moment where we can take the next step together. Yes? My name is Shareya, also known as Laura Fox, and I will be your host this weekend. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you for your time and attention. And I want to introduce you to two very special gentlemen. These young men have had a deeper knowing than most of their origins and nature, that inner selfhood of oneness with the Creator and with a sense of mission and purpose in this lifetime to help the rest of us remember and activate and awaken, similar to the function of a cosmic alarm clock and in physical form. And so these two young men have put this event on for us and gathered these people, knowing that the core inner purpose is for us to re-experience that connectivity and this cosmic reunion. And Ilya and Neil will be guiding us in a beautiful sound healing meditation to start the weekend. So with no further ado, I'd like them to please come, and let's give them a big round of applause for helping us by putting this on this weekend.
Hey guys, thank you all so much for being here. This is epic, and right now is definitely the moment for us to choose what we want to create for ourselves and shift out of the disharmonic and move into the harmonic frequency. So this event and this gathering and gatherings like this to come is really a milestone in our evolution for us to remember the core of the remembrance of the deepest level of who we are. So we're truly blessed that all of you guys are here, and there will be hundreds of people live streaming around the world, and we'll be connecting with them tomorrow in a meditation. So to everyone live streaming, to everyone here, thank you for being a part of this movement, and thank you for creating this grid work so we can truly shift into the remembrance. And ultimately, it's all about having fun and being in the moment. So this event is really truly about the entertainment of it all. So we're gonna have information, we're gonna have dance, we're gonna have singing. So just have fun, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Neil. I just wanted to express my gratitude to Neil, to Shareya, to all of you that are here, to everyone that's watching online, live streaming. We've all co-created this experience together because we're all ready and we all want to return back to source. We all want to remember who we are, and this weekend is the weekend where we shift into a higher vibration. This weekend is where we can finally fully step into our authenticity, fully remember who we are, and fully become empowered in our own authentic selves. So we're going to get started with the sound and vibration activation. We're going to have some gongs over here. We're going to be playing some didgeridoo, some Tibetan bowls. And before we do that, I'd like to introduce a very special person who has helped us immensely along this journey. He is the creator of Ashtar Command Crew, and he has been with us since the beginning. His name is Ben Arion. Ben.
Hello there. I'm from Sweden. Have you been there before? Okay, nice. I'm so I can't even express in words how I feel, and it's about us as one humanity and as individuals to really connect to the highest possible vibration within us, and I can feel it now within myself. It's available to all people, not just to the people who are here today. All of you, we will actually like broadcast this frequency during this weekend, and during everything we do is so important because we affect everything we do, think, and feel, becoming masters of our reality, that we create our reality with intent. And it's not always easy, but it shouldn't be easy all the time, because we have to grow and go through these initiations to really feel this feeling of gratitude. We can talk about gratitude, but feeling gratitude is another thing. And be humble. And this is the time we have been waiting for. And I also want to say that this is it. We are living the ascension now. Ascension is a word with lots of meanings, but in the end it's very simple. It's the vibration we call love. It's the most, what can I say, the best word for holding a high frequency, love. So that's what this weekend is about, love. Pure love, and meeting people, no higher or lower. We are all one family, and we can co-create this new earth. And those who want to ride the train can come on board. Everyone is invited. So, as I said, we will broadcast this energy. As you know, people pick up things unconsciously and start to act upon them. And our energy will radiate throughout LA, throughout the world, into Earth, out to the universe. And we have beings, energies, watching this event more closely than we think. So be aware of that. And with these words, I say thank you from my heart for being here. And who have been visited the Ashtar Command Crew website here? Okay, nice. If not, go to ashtarcommandcrew.net and check that place out. Peace.
Thank you, brother.
At this time, we're going to commence with the opening ceremony. Can we have Guy, Jake, and Torkum, and Sol, and Ilya will be leading us.
So as we're all settling in here, just get comfortable, drink your water. There's actually free water out in the back. It's very special, extremely high vibrational water called Hydra Blue. So I advise everyone to go grab a bottle. You'd want to be hydrated for this experience and for this entire weekend. 3 deep breaths, inhaling in through our nose and exhaling out through our mouth. Begin now to drop into your heart and allow yourself to breathe into your heart. And as you breathe into your heart, breathe light, breathe pure light into your heart center, into the very core of who you are. And as you breathe this light, see it expanding out from your heart, beginning to fill your entire body with pure white light. Each and every cell of your being is being infused with this pure light of Source that is radiating from the center, from the core of your heart. Allow yourself to continue to let this light expanding out from your heart, filling each and every cell of your body and your entire being with light. Allow this light to expand even further now. Expanding out, filling this entire room with pure light of Source. Excellent. Let us expand this light further outwards, filling this entire building with this magnificent, beautiful light. Allow the frequencies of the instruments to merge with your being. Allow yourself to feel the vibrations emanating from these sacred tones and sounds. Continue to expand this light further outwards now, expanding out into the city of Irvine. Allowing each and every being within this area to feel this light, to feel these pure frequencies of Source. Expanding further now into the entire state of California, seeing the entire state glowing, radiating with pure light of Source. These vibrations are assisting us in shifting into a higher octave of existence. Allow yourself to be that instrument of the divine, that grounding rod for the Source energies. See this light expand further out, filling the entire west coast of the United States with pure light. As it continues to expand into the entire nation, filling the entire United States with light. It continues to expand up north to Canada, continues to move down to Mexico and South America. And now it begins to swirl around the globe, filling the entire planet with this pure essence that we are, these pure vibrations, this pure light that we are emanating from the very core of who we are. And as you see the entire globe emanating with beautiful, bright light, feel the unconditional love that is within this light. Feel the harmony, the beauty, the peace that surrounds our planet now. Feel and know that all beings are now also radiating this light, radiating this harmony, this peace, this unconditional love. We're going to do 5 minutes of some chanting. We're going to chant Om at our own pace. So begin when you are ready. We're going to be chanting Om for 5 minutes in a continuous flowing motion. So take a deep breath in. Keep going. Keep on chanting. Allow this flow to flow out of your being effortlessly. Become the instrument of sound. Become your own musical instrument. Use your voice to resonate these vibrations and assist in raising the vibration of the planet. Continue visualizing the pure white light surrounding the planet. As we raise the frequencies as one family, as one humanity, as one being. Continue to feel the unconditional love that now surrounds the entire planet. The peace, the harmony, the bliss, the inner knowing of who we are at the deepest levels. Let's raise the volume now. As you chant Om, allow yourself to chant from your diaphragm. Allow yourself to truly expand. Excellent. Let's go even louder. Om. Louder now. Let us chant louder. Let us increase the vibrations. Om. Keep going, keep going. Om. You can relax. Continue to breathe normally. Keep your eyes closed. Just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Experience exactly what you're experiencing. Now that we have created this sacred space, I'd like to call upon all of our angels, all of our guides, all of our beloved archangels and ascended masters, all of our star families, all of the benevolent star brothers and sisters, to join us and to be here with us, to hold space with us for this entire weekend, so that we may shift our individual and collective vibration into the next density, into a paradigm that is pure harmony, pure bliss, pure love, pure source. Calling in the Holy Spirit, one infinite creator, to be with us, hold space for us, and allow us to fully be exactly who we are on the highest levels. Let's take a deep breath in. Deep breath in and let go with a sigh. Let's take another deep breath in and let go with a sigh. Whenever you are ready, you may come back. Take your time. Are we all back? How's everybody doing? Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much. This was awesome. So we're going to get started with our first speaker, and I'm going to bring Sharia back up here so that she can introduce our very first presenter, and we'll get started with the show. Thank you.
Real quick, thank you, Sailor, Guy, Jake, Sol, for being a part of this. A big round of applause for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilya and Neil. So a poem came through this morning, which is quite aligned with the upcoming presenter, so I thought I would share it with you. Dearly beloveds, we are gathered here today to wake up even more. As we attune and align with the divine design of the one life that we are together, we remember ourselves as one with, part of this creative matrix. We are a party with a purpose. As at this divine time, we align our minds and hearts with the love pulse, reframing the past, breathing fast as one, we see it all undone. We step now into the new details of a conscious our evolution. We are the solution. Old systems dissolve back into illusion as we build anew, following through with the love light sanction flowing as our divine nature. Sanctified now with great pleasure, we have a cosmic reunion on our hands and a beautiful planet for which to make a stand. As one, already won. Victory. Let's get this party started, shall we? Known as the Crop Circle Queen, Suzanne Taylor is the award-winning filmmaker of What on Earth? Inside the Crop Circle Mystery and Crop Circle's Quest for Truth. She has also made an appearance as a Crop Circle authority on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens TV series. Also known as the Consciousness Lady, her preferred title, I believe, Suzanne's now vital mission is to hold space and dialogue for the necessary shift in consciousness through which we will shed outdated worldviews and embrace a new paradigm of harmony through remembering our oneness. We're very grateful to welcome Suzanne Taylor.
Wow, what a tall order. A perfect poem to introduce the presenter. Oh my goodness, what I have to create here. But it's what I really like to create, which is that we feel ourselves together as one. Okay, technical da-da-da. Okay. All right, so let me get myself organized. Water. Okay. Actually, hopefully they're going to get something up here that I'm going to show you, but before we do that, we'll do a few other little things. So, the most important thing for us is that we really feel our connection. And first of all, let me ask you, how many people here came down from LA? Is this an LA crowd? Okay, so about a third of us are LA. I got nervous when they moved it. I thought, oh my goodness, we're going nowhere. But of course, I live in LA, so everywhere is nowhere except New York and maybe Chicago. So I'm so glad to see everybody here. I think this is just an incredibly brave event. You know, the call that they put out here is like so big and important. And you know, you end up getting a lot of criticism when you call for something outside the box. It's like, you know, you're a woo-woo person or some such. But all along, it seemed to me, as this event was announced and invited, and from this introduction, it's just felt so touching and so real and so much like I believe, yes, that's the way it really is, except we don't talk about that much. Maybe we do, but you know, we're not exactly in the majority. But we're going to change that, hopefully. And I want to talk, I'll be talking about that, the power of our connection. You know, as we think about our connection, it's such a powerful thing when we put our intentions together. And I just wanted to give you a little illustration of that so it becomes an inescapable truth. So I want to show you this. This is stainless steel. You could, I can't, but a strong guy, if he really did it, could make it move a little bit. But this got this way in my presence. There's a guy who actually lives not too far from here, north of San Diego. His name is Gary Sinclair. And he brought this to my house. It still had the price tag on it. Basting spoon, $4.99, stainless steel dishwasher safe. And he brought it to my house. And in front of me went, and he could have in front of me also gone and straightened it back out again. The power of his mind, I promise you. I mean, this happened right in front of me. He can just, like, with alacrity, he can do it. I can do it a little bit when I'm with him. It's something about in training on his energy. And the essential, there's different ways to do this. The way he does it is, or the way he taught me to do it, was you focus love. What do you love the most? You focus it on this little, you know, bending spot. and all of a sudden you feel something changes in the air, and you quickly do it. It gives you an opening. But that's your mind. What can the mind do? So the collective mind, I mean, this is one mind. So, you know, it's not just what science tells us. It's not just what we stick under microscopes and take apart and put back together. There's a universe beyond our little skin-encapsulated one, and of course that's what we're all talking about here, connecting with that. And it's not just a maybe. There is you know, we're not just limited to who we are as little private individuals. And when we tap into this beyond, all kinds of miracles happen. How old was Brahms when he wrote a symphony? I think he was 6. you know. He didn't do that. He tapped in. There's an in to tap into. But what I thought we would do to start here is do a little exercise between us, just to kind of do another thing besides chanting and sending light. But how about, I want you to pick a stranger who's either sitting next to you or behind you, and I want to do a little connecting exercise just to kind of get that flow going. And here's what you're going to speak to. Okay. So, if your parents had bragged about you, what would they have said? And I want you to turn to some stranger and take a minute or two. I'll feel how, whenever, and I'll tell you when to switch. Find a stranger. And if you didn't have parents who loved you, pretend, what if you had parents who loved you? What would they have said? So person one, if your parents had bragged about you, what would they have said? So how about switching now? Enough time for switching? Switching. Okay, so wind it down and come back to me. Okay, all you great people whose parents would have said great things, come back, come back. So I hope that was good. Okay, good. So, wouldn't it be nice if, we were all out there and all that positive energy and felt our connection to one another? If that were the case, the world would be run by altruism rather than greed. And it can happen. In fact, it has to happen. If we don't go in that direction, will we go in any direction? It's not a pipe dream. We've got to switch over to caring about one another instead of killing one another. So all the speakers today, I know, are going to deal with different ways or different doorways to connect to this other space, or they'll tap into it or whatever. And of course, my doorway that I'm here to talk about is crop circles. I came to the crop circles because I really was interested in consciousness. I was producing events and projects in Los Angeles. My house is rather a gathering place for progressive people. And it started a long time ago when the Human Potential Movement was our step of awakening. And we were into self-development, personal growth, those kinds of things. And I guess that probably came out of the 60s, where, you know, we got an idea that the world wasn't as our parents had told us it was. And we're in that continuum now, where we've moved along, or my house has moved along from all those personal pathways to consciousness, spirituality, the ways in which we think of our worldview. I like that word, worldview. I got it from John Mack, who was the wonderful Harvard head of the Department of Psychiatry, who did a study on people who said they had been abducted to find out what the pathology was. And when he discovered that there was no pathology, he became hooked on what was it. And he's in my movie. Oh, we're not going to show my movie, but he's in my movie. And I got that word worldview from him, from this very talk that he did, from a talk that he did at a crop circle conference. He was the head speaker. In fact, Daryl Bashar was the year, I'm trying to think, no, that was prior to that. Bashar was, my connection to him started when he was the head speaker at the main crop circle conference, and John Mack was a different year. Daryl was before that. They always brought in someone at the main conference that was tangentially related, not a crop circle person, but something in a category that would fit into that sort of thing. Daryl was one year. And then John Mack was another year, and I just so loved his speech. In fact, it is possible that I could send it to you. It's kind of protected on a password protected thing, but since we're talking, if you email me afterwards, I will send you the speech that he did. It's one of my absolute favorite speeches, but if you see my movie, you'll see I have lots of excerpts from it. But he spoke about the fact that what we need is this collectively different take on who we are and what we're doing here. And he expresses himself so eloquently. Let me see a show of hands. Anybody here doesn't know who John Mack was? Oh, well, you missed one of the great beings. Shortly after he gave his speech, he also had a Pulitzer Prize for writing a biography of Lawrence of Arabia. And they had a conference right after that crop circle conference in England. And he was did a talk and got hit by a drunk driver and was killed. Just a couple weeks after he did this talk. It was a huge loss to all of us, and particularly to the crop circle world, because the crop circle world, as you can imagine, has a little trouble establishing its authenticity. And so the fact that we had this Harvard Pulitzer Prize winning being who fell in love with the crop circles. You see, the end of my movie, if I can remember the line, we go out on his line, which is, crop circles are the most outstanding crossover from the other dimension in the history of the human race. And he didn't know anything about crop circles when he got to England, and he spent about 10 days traipsing around before he did his talk. He totally rewrote his talk out of his awe at what was going on with the crop circles. So, what I thought now, are you able to play that clip that I was asking for?
No, we lost our internet connection.
Well, if you get it again, just tell me and we'll interrupt. What I was going to show you, I said, you know, we can use some celebrities who are, you know, how does the world pay attention to anything? Well, one is you make movies, which is why I made my movie. I'll come back to that. But, you know, you get celebrities to be on your side. And John Mack from the world of intellect was going to be our breakthrough celebrity, because this crop circle world doesn't have any people that it has incredibly intelligent people, like geometers, working on the phenomenon, but nobody's famous, nobody's celebrated, except I was going to show you Rosie O'Donnell. I was her last, maybe, I mean, we may still do it, but I was her last guest on that OWN television show that got, where she got canceled. And I had been on her Sirius radio show. I use a quote of hers on my, it's on my postcard, that please pick up postcards. I have 5,000 of them. You can have more than one. Pass them around. But she says, everybody should see this movie. So that was a quote of hers, I think, from the radio show that we did. And I almost had her in England, so I'm still working on her to be our celebrity. In fact, I talked to her about that on the television show. I thought it'd be fun to see Rosie getting excited about crop circles. So anyway, back to me. I think this was, yeah, okay. So I had this house. I was producing all these programs, and they were all about personal growth, change, you know, improving ourselves, whatever. And the crop circles came along in the late 80s. Just by accident, I had a friend who had a son who was stationed in the military in England, and he would go out on his leave and take pictures of what they were calling at the time landing pads for UFOs. So I saw these landing pads, and they were crop circles, and I thought, they didn't have a name then, they were landing pads for UFOs. I thought, now that's interesting. Here I am, lifetimes of self-development to wake up, but if we really were being visited, everybody, all of a sudden, all over the world, would be at a new state of attention. It wouldn't be waking up the same way. Your childhood traumas wouldn't have anything to do with that. You still need all your psychiatry and all your self-development. But it would all of a sudden catch us as a different juxtaposition to the universe. You know, the last radical shift of juxtaposition was Galileo, where he took Copernicus, you know, Galileo, took Earth out of the center. We were no longer the big cheese in the universe as a planet. And now, if we've got other intelligence out there, well, we're no longer the big cheese as the only intelligence. And it has a way of filtering down to everything. I have some quote somewhere. Let's see. Here we go. So this is from Time magazine, of all strange places. They did a cover story in 2008, 10 ideas that are changing the world. And I want to read you a little bit of what Time magazine had to say. This is from they had an editorial and then had the article. So this is from the editorial. Ideas change the world. The power of a new idea is the engine that transforms the way we live and think. Our country was founded on one. It was almost 50 years ago that the philosopher Thomas Kuhn coined the term paradigm shift, the moment when our worldview fundamentally changes because of a new idea, as when people understood that the sun does not revolve around the earth, or that climate change is altering the way we would all have to live. So that's from the editorial. And then this is the introduction, from the introduction to the article itself about the 10 ideas. The defining challenge of the 21st century will be to face the reality that humanity shares a common fate on a crowded planet. I can't believe this is Time magazine. And then another little excerpt from that. That's why the idea that has the greatest potential to change the world is simply this: by overcoming cynicism, ending our misguided view of the world as an enduring struggle of us versus them, and instead seeking global solutions, we actually have the power to save the world for all, today and in the future. Isn't that nice, Time magazine? I don't know why we don't talk about all this on, you know, talk shows, whatever. All we talk about is how do we fix this, how do we fix that, but we don't talk about the power of an idea and the idea that needs to change, this worldview needs to change from greed to altruism, you know, from separation to oneness. So, okay, so we're back to, I'll tell you a little bit about, let's see, what are we going to tell you next? Okay, so when the circles came along as another subject matter, and, you know, LA is a crossroads of the world. People from all over are always passing through, and so crop circle researchers would pass through, and I would snag them after that. It was the late 80s when I saw those pictures, and I would get them in my living room, and then the phenomenon was too interesting to fit in my living room, so then we would rent outside places and do these crop circle presentations. And in 1993, for the first time, I thought, okay, I got to go see this for myself. And I went over to England. I went on a tour that was touring Stonehenge and, you know, ancient things. And you can't turn around in England without in this little area without stumbling over something ancient and sacred. Wait a minute. So once you were in a crop circle, I tell you, let me see, how many people have ever been in a crop circle? Do we have anybody? 1, 2. Awesome. Awesome. 3. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course, Peter, our harpist, puts his harp up and makes music through the wind in the crop circles. Well, you know, you're in awe. You can't believe this is happening. This cannot be, but, you know, there you are. And so after I was returned a couple times and still producing programs back in LA, I thought, well, the world has to know about this. It's still too quiet. And, you know, how do you tell the world about anything? You make movies. And I actually had been, it wasn't, you know, a total leap for me. I had been an actress. And at one point, I made a lot of commercials. I was very, very successful making commercials. If you know me well, I show you my old reel. They start with black and white, and they're minute long, and they're very slow. It was a different world. But I also did, you know, a bunch of other acting things as well. And I was married to a producer. So that was my world. Just to give you a little Hollywood glitz, my ex-husband was the story editor of the Dick Van Dyke Show. And he also was the creator of Marlo Thomas's show, That Girl, that he was the executive producer of for all the years that was on. So, you know, that was I mean, I was real familiar with that world. And so when I said, oh, what are we gonna, you know, how do we tell the world about anything? We make a movie. So now I'm hopping over to the other side of the camera. But, you know, comfortable enough there that I could, what do they say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Sure, I can make movies. Well, okay. So anyway, the first movie I didn't make, but it took me, when I came back in '96 from the circles, I said, I got to find somebody to make a movie. And I started to spread the word. But, you know, you can't just go to any old director or producer or filmmaker, and say, you want to make a movie about crop circles? What? You know? So, you know, listening, who might there be? And I discovered, somebody said, oh, this guy who has an Academy Award nomination for a documentary was in the crop circles last summer, and he's looking to make a movie. So that was William Gazecki, who had an Academy Award nomination for Waco, remember that one? Before Michael Moore and Penguins and whatever, it was the 5th largest selling documentary ever in kind of a last era. But so indeed, I put together the financing, and we went to England for a 10-week shoot. Little side story, the night before we left for England, or shortly before that, I was invited to produce an event the night before I was leaving for a 10-week shoot in England. And the event I was invited to produce was a fundraiser for John Mack. Well, I'm leaving. My house is shut. I got to shut 10 weeks. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to do a big event with food and with people and mess. And well, I did it because it was John Mack. And I mean, I was already in love with him. So this was before he went to England. This is in the late 80s. Or whatever it was. It was before he went to England. Can't remember exactly. Oh, no, it was when I did yeah. He went to England in the, doesn't matter. So I ran the shoot for the first movie because I knew about crop circles. William Gazecki was kind of a newcomer, and you know, he didn't know who the interesting people were. He didn't know what the stories were. So, you know, that was the way we created the first movie. But when that came out in 2002, and it's a history of the crop circles. It really isn't the movie that the investors expected him to make or wanted him to make, but he had control because he had an Academy Award nomination, so he did what he wanted to do. And I didn't want to do a history of the crop circles. I wanted to do the passion of the crop circles. Why are these intelligent people giving up their lives to, and they do, every summer in England, people gather from all over the world who are the kind of core crop circle people. They write the books, they produce the conferences, they take the pictures, and they're just passionate about the possibilities of this phenomenon. So, I'm trying to remember, why did I tell you that? I was telling you something else, and then I decided to tell you that.
Why you wanted to make the next movie?
What?
Why you wanted to make the next movie?
Okay. So anyway, okay, we did the first movie because I sent him on whatever. In the second movie, I said, okay, there's another movie here, thank you, which is the one I wanted to make in the first place. And there's where really fools rush in when I decided to become a filmmaker. I thought, well, it's so simple. I watched him. I could just do everything he did. I could hire the right people, whatever. Well, 6 years later, I had a movie. I learned a lot along the way, a lot what not to do. And if I was going to make another one, it wouldn't take that long, and I'd make every move a little smarter. But I tell you, I was just thrilled with the movie that did come out. When I hadn't seen it as many times as I've seen it now, it would make me cry every time I'd see it, because I could see the circles are beautiful. They're awe-inspiring. But the actual, aside from the actuality of, those lovely things, they're a promise of a connection to this larger reality, to something intelligent out there. And all we need to do, however we do it, if UFOs could do it, that'd be good. But the crop circles are so tangible. You can study them. You can take them into the laboratory. They're there. Everybody can walk into them. They're an easier case to prove the connection to other intelligence than anything else. And if, in fact, however it occurred, we actually established the fact that there is otherness out there, it really would change the world. I mean, just picture all of a sudden, wait a minute, every human being together, no separation, no fighting, no nothing. We're just looking, wait a minute, we have something to relate to that's not us. What is it? What do we do about it? What would it do if we invited it? This is a worldwide conversation. And just as Galileo you know, took us out of the center of the universe, and it changed everything. You know, if you track historically what happened after Galileo, I'm not a historian, and it's not my expertise, but I know that we moved from a world that had kings and serfs and separation and superiority in the superior placement of the planet, to eventually democracy. It democratized things. It made things more less hierarchical. And so too, as I alluded to, if we were not the only intelligence, that would be the next move of making this sense of one humanity that we so need. You know, it is the prime need of our day. Okay, so then I thought I would tell you, let me see how I'm doing on time. Neil, what is the time situation, just because we didn't quite start on time? How long do you? Another 20 minutes? Okay. So I thought I'd tell you the, let's see, I gotta skip over, or I won't be able to do everything. Okay, so here we have the situation where the media pretty much is trashing this phenomenon. You don't get any honest reports at all in the media. They're cynical, they're, you know, skeptical, and they don't investigate. And some of the shows, you know, most of the cable stations produce crop circle programs. They go over every few years, they make one, and they run it for a few years, and then they go over and they make another one. They're terrible. The people over there are, oh, I just had the most wonderful interview. I told them all these important things. It was so terrific. And then they see the finished product, and, you know, they cut little pieces out and nasty. And so, I mean, for instance, National Geographic, those people won't talk to National Geographic anymore. The last time they were over there, they took an already created circle, didn't know where it came from. There it was. And they put hoaxers in it, and they filmed it like they were making it. They weren't making that. It was already there. So we're not too happy with how the media treats this. But when you think about some of the aspects of it, you go, wait a minute. If they were paying attention, listen to some of these aspects that are so beyond the beyond. First of all, the geometry in these, the ones that are geometric, they're not all geometric, but most of them are. And the ones that are geometric, we have learned geometry theorems from crop circles. In our literature today, we have geometric theorems that we got from crop circles. That work was done by Gerald Hawkins, who was the head of the astronomy department at Boston University. You know, we need more powerhouses like that, but he was another one of the rare powerhouses who also has left us. Who got involved. He decoded the geometry at Stonehenge and did this incredible geometric work that gave us these new theorems. And then if you ask the geometers over there, and there are brilliant geometers who pay attention to the circles, if you say to them, well, could you make one like that? Could you make a design like that? And what they'll tell you is, you know, there are ideas behind the designs, like how do you make a fractal in a wheat field? Because a fractal is an infinitely repeating pattern. Well, you make an artistic translation into art of how you can cap it off, whatever. And so the geometers will say, if an idea has already been expressed, and there are several of them, they're you know, different ideas. Once they get expressed, then they get variations on them for the rest of, you know, the now keeps going. And they say, once an idea has been expressed, we could make one that would express that idea. But the originality with which the intelligence is doing this, we'd be hard pressed to do that. So other things that the media ignores. You know, we've had arguably 5,000 or 6,000 of them in this modern era. They go back, 1678 is the first thing that appears in literature that we can identify as a crop circle, but that's another story. It's all in my movie. But no one's ever been caught making them. So, you know, these are the arguments that the media should be paying attention to and have more respect for what's going on. They arrive usually in the rain, terrible weather. So think these people going out and making them. One of the crops, oilseed rape, there are three main canvases in England, although they've been in virtually everything that grows all over the world. Strawberries, heather, you name it, they've had crop circles. Young pine trees, 3-inch thick stalks, two crop circles. Bent over at right angles, nothing broken. I mean, it's quite impossible, actually. So anyway, oilseed rape, it smells terrible. You would not want to be in it. That's one of the canvases. And that too, that has stalks like celery, bent at right angles. Sometimes the bending in the crop circle is rare, but several times, doesn't occur at ground level. There are nodes in plants, and that's where they bend. They bend at the nodes. Well, you know, ground level is ground level, but here's ground level node. Here's the second node. So you can picture, here's the crop, here's the bend. Ropes and boards, you all know about the basics about, there's nobody here who doesn't know what a crop circle is there? No. Good. You know, ropes and boards would not bend them this high above the ground, you know. We've had a couple of porcupines in Canada. Porcupines don't run when things get weird, and things get weird. We've had eyewitness accounts. They go down in 6 or 7 seconds, no matter how big they are, and that's from all the eyewitness accounts. But porcupines don't run. They ball up when danger comes, and there have been 2 crop circles in Canada where the porcupine was drawn into the center and the quills were flattened. So, you know, we should look at these things. The media should be looking at these things. If you look at the impossibility of this being a total human hoax phenomenon, which of course is the prevailing idea, it just doesn't hold up. You know, I'm a very rational person. I mean, I used to say, if you can't put it under a microscope, it doesn't exist. Well, that was a long time ago. But I'm still a very rational person. And here I am, a woo-woo crop circle girl. No. If you look at the evidence, it's more impossible to think that people are making them all than that they're not. You just look at the evidence. The evidence you can't ascribe it all to people. So my rational self, you know, looks at the evidence. So what is this thing with this hoaxing? I mean, it's like an industry. You know, there were 36 of them arrived one night in England, and, well, of course they weren't all hoax, but I shouldn't have said that. Never mind, forget I said that. That's the evidence, they're not hoax. But why are so many hoax? Because there are a lot that are. You know, there's still an argument as to how prevalent the hoaxing is. I don't know, mysteries get cloaked in more mysteries, and that's good for us. It keeps our mind open to possibility. But my opinion is there are a lot of them that are hoax. You wonder why. Why would people do that? There's no recognition. You know, they're trampling private property. They can't get appreciated. It's anonymous art, presuming they do them all. It doesn't make sense. People don't act that way. There's no reason for that to occur. And we show you in my movie, we show you in my movie, you know, the original Doug and Dave, everybody knows Doug and Dave came along in 1991, said they made them all. So we had 2 farmers from the middle of nowhere getting a press release into newspapers all over the world. What? And we show you that there is some government hand in that press release. But it's still like, what is going on? If I made another movie, I would investigate that in a movie. But I tell you, I am involved in something else that probably nobody here knows about, unless, does anybody really follow crop circles here? Really know all the stuff that's going on? People don't know, except people like me. There is something really outrageous going on right now. It's a real development. Toward the end of last season, all of a sudden, a 100,000-pound challenge came out. That's approximately 160, 170,000, depending on the exchange rate of the day. For anybody who could hoax a crop circle, and they gave parameters and whatever, what they had to accomplish, that would be comparable to the mysterious ones. The biggest one, by the way, being the size of 2 football fields. So the challenge went out to anybody who can replicate something as legitimate as that, as what we all look at and say they can't do that. If they can, they're going to win 100,000 pounds, and I'm involved in that now. Sarah Miles, anybody remember her? She was an actress. She got Academy Award nominations back in the day, whenever. She's English. And it's her, she's fronting for this, and Sarah and I have now fallen in love, and we're working on this together, and it'll come out this year. The challenge will come out again this year. Nobody took it last year because she didn't have her parameters right. She asked, it had to do this, it had to do that, and everybody said, oh, that's wrong, that doesn't fit what would have to be, and nobody could have done that. She had to get her parameters correct. So this year, the parameters will be right. It will be doable if it's doable. So just picture, if people can do it, we've solved the crop circle mystery. It's a big story, actually, and you know, the biggest hoax ever perpetrated on humanity all over the world. It is in 40 countries, these circles, for all these years, for thousands of times. And if people did them all, how did they do that and never get caught? That'd be a big story. I keep trying to put that out to the media even now to try to get them to take it seriously, because it's not a matter of, oh, it's a hoax. No, if it's a hoax, you have a story. And then if nobody can do it, that's your really big story. Because for that much money, anybody who could do it would do it. There's already a documentary filmmaker, not me, who is from a Norwegian documentary filmmaker who's aboard to cover this. And I'm trying to get a reality show to happen, even maybe Rosie O'Donnell going with me, where we get to tell all the crop circle stories as we're dealing with this challenge. The challenge becomes the spine of it, and the production company doesn't have to put it up. It's there. It's something to build around and work around. It seems like a perfect thing for, if anybody's well-connected, because we have to sell this thing, see me. So here, I want to read you a couple more things. We didn't get Rosie O'Donnell, right? We're not going to show Hollywood glitz here? No? Not happening. Okay. Oh, I have a nice phrase here. Wouldn't it be nice when the paranormal becomes the new normal? My friend Joan, who's doing readings at my table, who's here somewhere, oh, there she is. There's Joni. That's her phrase. The paranormal becomes the new normal. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So, in the idea that reality follows another thing that I'm out there advocating, however, is get this conversation about our worldview, not about crop circles, but our worldview to be a dialogue that's going on in the world, rather than how do we fix this, how do we fix that. What about this underlying idea that we have, which is really the Newtonian idea of a mechanistic universe, and right and wrong, and up and down, and conflict. But science has even validated the fact that we're in a quantum universe where everything's interrelated and interconnected. And that's the model in which we can start think ourselves into this new paradigm-shifted reality. So science is our friend here, but the world has not caught up with the worldview. So one of my advocacies is, how do we get this dialogue to happen in public places, on television most primarily. And so I want to just read you a couple of other little things. This is Daniel Pinchbeck. A lot of you would know who he is. He's one of our spokespeople for New Reality and Reality Sandwich, which I think of as sort of the Huffington Post of our kind of stuff, is his website. He says, just as every belief system and ideology is ultimately a cult, every state of consciousness is, in essence, a kind of trance. Capitalism, for instance, is a materialistic cult, and its worshipers are believers in a technological progress that has no connection to a natural world or an ensouled cosmos. The normative consciousness of a worker within our capitalist society is awake to the daylight world of work and responsibility, political maneuver, financial calculation, but unaware of the deep reaches of the shaman's night, where jaguars and snakes, demons and spirits battle for primacy, where awe, ecstasy, and terror mingle inextricably. Modern society forfeited vast arenas of vision, intuition, and supersensible perception in its fixation on what can be separated, defined, and controlled. So there's, our really misguided constriction in this materialistic world. And then I want to just read you one little quote from Edgar Mitchell. He was the sixth man to walk on the moon, and on the way back he had this ecstatic experience looking at Earth. And he says, the first thing that came to mind as I looked at Earth was its incredible beauty. A splendid blue and white jewel suspended against a velvet black sky. How peacefully, how harmoniously, how marvelously it seemed to fit into the evolutionary pattern by which the universe is maintained. In a peak experience, the presence of divinity, what's happening to him, became almost palpable, and I knew that life in the universe was not just an accident based on random process. It was knowledge gained through private subjective awareness, but it was and still is every bit as real as the objective data upon which, say, the navigational program or the communication system were based. Clearly, the universe had meaning and direction, an unseen dimension behind the visible creation that gives it an intelligent design and that gives life purpose. So I wanted to kind of bring us back to what these crop circles would open us to, and to this awareness that other things also could open us to, of something genuine beyond this little constricted place we're in. And the last thing I thought I would do is read you just a little back again to the crop circle relationship to all of this. This is a brand new book. This is the newest book that's out there. It's by a Norwegian. I told you they come from all over the world, and Eva is one of the people who is always in England in the summer taking pictures, and she runs the Norwegian crop circle site. Different countries have different sites. And I just wanted to read you from the introduction to her book. I'll have this over at my table. This was originally written in Norwegian. This is the English translation. So this is quite lovely. Okay, here it goes. The idea that something is reaching out to us, either from afar, from the natural world, or from deep within the collective mind, stimulating the development of consciousness by the very presence of uncertainty. This is so good for us to have mystery and curiosity and what have you. It's hard to entirely throw off. Whatever the reality, what does become clear from important factual assessments of the crop circle, such as this book, is that in them we have a phenomenon far more rooted in history than most people are aware of, and one that deserves much greater contemplation than it has received from a dismissive mainstream media more interested in the scandals of human deception than in the impressive evidence which shows that there must be more to the story than simply hoaxers, planks, and ropes. So with that idea floating in your minds, stay open to more from the story. Visit me at my table. I love talking about crop circles. I'd love to send you my DVD. It's also on iTunes if you want to just watch it. And the DVD has an hour of bonus material in addition to the feature film. And I love my movie. So I hope that one way or another, you'll all get to see it. And I thank you all very much for your attention. And thanks to all the producers of this really wonderful event.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being brave yourself and bringing forth this information and holding it for us all. Indeed, there is so much more to the story, and as our day and weekend continues, we'll be diving in a little bit more to more of the more. In the meantime, we're going to have a little break right now. Yes, you have a question? Yes, you'd like to question? Excellent. Suzanne, are you up for a few questions?
Oh, if you've got time, I'd be happy to. Yeah.
I think so. Why don't you come up here, Mike?
Morning.
Hi.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you for this talk. Just as you were talking, I didn't know a huge amount, but I was just interested between the connection, if there was any connection between those like older, there's like in the UK, there's lots of chalk drawings that have been there for centuries. I know there's lots of reports from like hundreds of years ago on crop circles. Whether there was any sort of relation, whether, you know, like the NASCAR lines, and whether there was whether people had just basically filled in those drawings, because there's still no relation of how those were made, because obviously there's the perspective, they couldn't have drawn them.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the white horses in England, which the national something, whatever they call it over there, maintains. There are 7 of them, I think. However, we know the origins of, if there's 7, let's say there's 7. We know the origins of 6 of them. They were made as commemorative, for some reason, in England, over the years, dating back, I don't know, 500 years ago, maybe the first one. In England, it's limestone. And if you just peel back the grass on the top, it's white. And so those 6 were made as commemorative things. They're maintained by the National Trust. I think that's what it's called there. But there's one that's of the era of Stonehenge. It's actually more like a dragon than a horse, but they call it the white horse. They're all called the white horses. And where did Stonehenge come from? Mysterious origins. This little area here in these 2 counties in England is an ancient, sacred, manipulated landscape. You've got Stonehenge at pretty much the southern end of it, and Avebury. I don't know if Americans really know Avebury, but it's just as important as Stonehenge. It's a whole different, a huge stone circle with a little village in the middle of it. You know, Stonehenge is really kind of small, or tall, but small. And, but Avebury is this monster thing. And everywhere you look, I mentioned it in my talk, you can hardly turn around there without a burial mound, a tumuli, or this or that. Things from, because this whole landscape was a place for sacred ceremony way back when. And, you know, we don't know the answers to all of that. Wouldn't it be nice if we stopped making war and put all of our money into investigating what's here? You know, we got so much here that the Bosnian pyramids, you know, really, I mean, it's just insane. We are crazy. And then the Nazca lines is another thing that people ask about all the time. And you know, they're in Peru, and they're at the top of a mountain range, and there's these gigantic figures that are drawn there. Well, they're not drawn. They're a total different technology. And the reason that they're still there is because there's no wind up there, but they're all little pebbles that are, you know, but who designed that? Because there's no way you're looking at a little pebbly thing, and it's going on for miles, and that's a figure, and you can only, heaven knows, see it from the air. A mystery. Don't know where they came from, don't know why they're there. And, you know, the comparable thing is that, and of course, in the crop circles, you get into this 2 football field big crop circle. It has 409 separate elements. They're all circular, in that one in particular. You know, you're in that one, and you see it in my movie. I mean, it's circles to the end of the world. It looks like you have no idea what it looks like until you get above it, and then you can see the pattern. So that's the Nazca line similarity, but you know, another mystery on Earth. Yeah. Do we have more?
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I know a lot of times the crops are genetically modified. Has anyone actually taken time to go harvest and then bake bread and have your DNA be enhanced that way with whatever was in the crop?
It's not funny. Nobody's ever mentioned the genetically modified aspect of I have no idea what they're using for seed over there. But I ground up flour, and I made cookies, and my friends are very trippy. So, I don't know. I like to think that I juiced them up a little. They've had a couple of products. They had a beer. Crop Circle beer, I don't know whatever happened to it, and they had Crop Circle cookies or something, not cookies, a cereal, but I think that was just the shapes of Crop Circles. I don't think they put flour in. You know, they have essences, you know, like flower essences, you know, to heal you, whatever. They've done that too. That's the only thing I know about what they've done with the product, so, or made product.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much. Linda Moulton Howe has done a lot of work in crop circles. Can you just talk a little bit about your relationship with her?
Well, she's our reporter, you know, and she's got all kinds of reporter credentials, and she does a good job reporting. I'll tell you, if you get on her site, you'll see something very interesting that has just happened where she has, I was trying to figure out how do I pass this along to my, you should all get on my mailing list, by the way, not only for crop circles, but for other things that can't be but are. I find the most interesting things to pass along, and I don't send out much, but everybody on my mailing list is very happy to be there. Let me see, who's on my mailing list? Have I got people on my mailing list? Wow, you're not on my mailing. Wow, well, we have a lot of sign-ups to come. Right, so she has a story that she's just put up recently. I don't know if it's been eclipsed by further stories, but you can look for it. We've had an occurrence in the United States that is awesome. It's in Ohio. It was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago maybe, in corn. And we have a very active crop circle community in the United States, even though we get very few, although we've had hundreds if you go back and add them up over the years. But lately we've had hardly any. When we weren't having hardly any, we were having 10 or 12 a year. And lately, you know, 1 or 2 maybe. But this one in Ohio is a stunner. And this little active group in the United States will do more to investigate, probably because there's not that many to investigate. In England, you'd be kind of overwhelmed. There have been 300 was the biggest year in England, although they're not getting that many this year, or the recent years. But nonetheless, they get a lot. And so they take the material into the lab, they investigate it. So each one in the United States has been well documented as to whether it's hoaxed. And this one checks out in every parameter. And Linda Moulton Howe has the total story on it. And if you get on her Earth Files, earthfiles.com. It's really worth reading about because, and did you read about this in your paper, in your local paper? No. Whenever there's something in the States, the local press will do a lot, and it never makes the national press. This is a real event that happened. And if you read the details, you go, whoa, you know? So it's wonderful when you get something that's so well studied and whatever, and it authenticates the fact that you can't say where this is, it's not coming from us. So each of those things is a wonderful little, oh yes, 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 once again, confirmation. We're not making them all. So that's a good one.
One more question?
I'm curious to find if there's been anybody that's been using these geometries and seeing about figuring out what we can do with them. And I'll just leave it if anybody's doing technological research or retro engineering or anything like that. So.
Right.
Chills on that question.
there's a tremendous amount of, what would we call it, commentary that comes in for each of the complex circles or good circles. And during the circle season, which is essentially June, July, and a bit of August, with maybe stretched out depending on the weather, there's a website called cropcircleconnector.com that gives a page to each one, and then people will submit from, you know, all over the world interpretations. There's formulas they find, there's messages they find, there's symbols they recognize from different fields. You know, if you were a chemist, you might see a formula for something that if you weren't a chemist, you wouldn't know it. But the underlying question there usually is, well, so what does it all mean? What's the message, you know? And there, you know, so much with crop circles is opinion, you know. I'm going to tell you my opinion. And it's pretty much, nobody's looking for the fact, for the idea that maybe it's a jigsaw puzzle, and when we get the last piece, we're going to know the meaning. Nobody's looking for that. Nobody's looking to translate the hieroglyphics, you know, to get an out. Nobody's looking for these overall things. But so much is done and spread around about this circle this, and look what's in this one, and look what's in that one. And my belief is that they're not trying to tell us something that we're supposed to do, or, you know, something important that we have to realize. I think they're just reflecting back to us the fact that there's other intelligence, and they're reflecting ourselves back to us. We get eclipses, patterns before an eclipse. I mean, they say, we read you, we know your symbols, we know, you know, what's going on Earth. There's one in my movie that has the alignment of the planets in December 2012, that date that we're looking for. So they gave us a crop circle in 2000, I don't know, 3 years ago or so, that had that alignment in it. It's like, hello, we you know, you see, we're waiting for you to get it, that we're signaling. I'm sat there going, why don't they get it? We keep sending all this stuff. I mean, I could tell you so much stuff about the intelligence of what they're sending, but on that individual basis. Some other things like, well, I can't even go into it here, but if we had more time, you go, oh my goodness, oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that fascinating? Look what they're showing us.